thank you for coming along. What I'm going to be talking about today is looking at how travel companies should be creating the next generation of travel guide to ensure that the traveller is being inspired at every stage of the booking cycle and turning those customers into loyal holiday makers so they return to them in the future. So what I want to start by looking at is the kind of key components that make up what we see as the travel guide of the future. So what is important to you as an organisation, but what is really important to the customer and is going to make them want to stay on your site and spend time there and ideally make a booking and book a flight or a hotel while they're there. So first of all, we can't forget the audience in the marketplace. And although this isn't part of what was actually be the guide content, I think it's important that we take a look at that before we delve into any detail in terms of the actual types of content that we're going to be providing. So first of all, you need to have the right, you need to think about your audience, you need to understand that the content is going to meet all of their needs and all of their requirements at the different stages of the travel cycle. You need to analyse what your competitors are doing as well. You also need rich insider content. You need to give a fully immersive experience to your customers when they come onto your website, so they really get a feeling for the destination. The content has to be flexible. So we're all talking, everything in these seminars over the last 2 days has been about the platforms you're using. So it's key that we can ensure that the content that the guide content you create can be utilised across multiple platforms. So you can sweat that content to make it work hard across all of those areas. It also needs to be timely, so the content has to be there and fresh and up to date, so that we're always seeing something new about the destination that builds the trust and the authority that you have around that destination itself. And lastly, it's about local content. There's a lot of talk about local offers. It's about local offers, local knowledge, local detail, but also localization. So the content needs to be in the language that's most relevant for that marketplace. So just a bit more detail on some of the questions you should be asking yourself before embarking on creating a new travel guide or creating a large volume of content for your website or mobile platform. So who is the guide for? What are they looking to achieve by going onto that site, and where do you want to take them once they come onto your site? What is the user journey you're hoping to achieve? Which are the kind of emerging markets that are really important to you? Which are the kind of trends within the travel space that you need to be thinking of during that process? And are you focusing purely online? Is it about mobile? Is it about your email newsletter? Do you have other platforms and sort of other systems that you need to take into account when creating this content? Do an analysis of what your competitors are up to as well, just to make sure that you're going to be creating a guide that is taking the content forward and providing something different that's already out there. What can you do to kind of ensure that that content is future-proofed as well? So to ensure that you can update it and manipulate it and add to it in the future. So when you're structuring the types of sections that you're creating with the guide, make sure there's ways of adding additional areas to that so you can expand it in the future. And probably almost right from the start, understand what are the user stories, user journeys that your customers are going to be taking on your site, and make sure that you're able to answer all of those questions right from the start. So just very quickly, going to look at a very sort of top-level view of the travel purchasing cycle. I've actually slightly adapted this because I think that many that we've seen over the last couple of years probably are slightly out of date in a way, because the in-destination and go stages of the travel cycle have been slightly left out. So what we're looking at here from the top right is the dream and inspiration phase through to plan and book as we'd expect. And then really the important bit, where there's a huge amount of opportunity for me and for the travel industry, is what we do in destination. So there's very little content that's really focused on that in-destination phase that can really give the customer a real immersive experience. And then there's huge talk about the post-trip, so the sharing of content, although I feel that generally sharing is taking place throughout the cycle now. So So this is then looking at it in a bit more detail, and what I want to sort of pull out from here is just trying to think about different stages of the cycle, but then also the types of thing that customers are thinking about. So the second ring is the audience interest. So what are the types of interest that you have? What are the types of decision that you're making really early in the dream phase of the cycle? So you're thinking, I want it to be 30 degrees, I want there to be a beach nearby. So what content is going to fit those needs and try and give you the information you need? Well, at this stage it's quite top level. It's about, you're looking at any destination that is 30 degrees and it's got a beach. You're looking at any country, so it's that type of level of detail if we're thinking about it in a taxonomy from continent kind of level down to country to a point of interest at the lowest, natural attraction at the lowest level. And then what platforms are you going to consume that content on? Well, you're probably most likely to consume that on the web at the moment. That's going to be where you're going to do most of your research during the dream phase. But you're also going to use tablets more and more. And I think a lot of the discussions I've heard, yesterday we're talking about how the actual tablet is actually sort of an additional part of the web platform, really. It's people doing it in a different way, surfing from the comfort of lying in their bed rather than sitting on the sofa possibly. So those are the two main elements, web and tablet, during this phase. So if we rotate that round to the planning stage, so we start getting a little bit more practical, but still we're very much, we want to be inspired, we want the detail. It's now, we've drilled down a kind of level, and we're now looking at beaches and spas and the kind of information. You've got a bit more of a feeling of where you're looking to go. You're looking at countries, you're looking at specific cities, you're narrowing it down to a list of locations that you want to go to. And in terms of the platform, it's pretty similar. You're still looking online and tablet, maybe a small amount of smartphone usage. So move that round to book. Again, dropping down spas, activities, cities, and now neighbourhoods as well. So you're really thinking about London as a group of different areas rather than just looking at it as a city overall. Which neighbourhood has got the things that I want to do? If I'm looking at a hotel now, I want to know what attractions are around that hotel, so I can really find the information that's going to build up a picture of the destination and the experiences I'm going to be having while I'm there. At this stage, you're also going to be interested in kind of offers and deals, things that are kind of being pushed to you are going to be more useful and getting you the right information.